Hey, folks. This is probably my first time doing this. This is more of a, you could say, devlogs. I'm not sure if that is what you'd call it, but this is a devlog about something random that I'm working upon. Uh, just wanna sort of have this video out. If nobody's watching it, fine. Just for me. Uh, but yeah, this devlog essentially is all about something that I've been working up on recently. I picked up this awesome book. Uh, like they're trying to create a language called Monkey in Go. Uh, I thought I'm gonna take the concept from the book and implement it out in something that I wanted to learn. I've been getting a lot in Zig recently, wanted to try it out, wanted to see how can I start using it in my workflow, maybe create something out of it. So I thought, why not create a language? Why not create a language, a virtual machine, and then like wherever the book leaves, we'll try and make it better. That was the point. Yeah, I've been reading this book. It's called Digital Design and Computer Architecture. Pretty good book. Um, it's about a little bit into electronics, trying to get into electronics again. It's been a very long time I haven't touched them. So yeah, but I want to show you how far and what exactly I've accomplished so far. It's getting pretty cold out here, I'm wearing warm clothing these days. You just don't see me that often though. Yeah, whatever. So I'm calling it yokai. Seems pretty. I don't know. I picked up from Japanese folklore. So yokais are these what is it called? Like ghosts in Japan. I think that's what their name is. Like you, so if we call them ghosts, but in Japan they'd call them yokai, and that's where I picked it from. The name called yokai. So the language had absolutely no connection with ghosts or anything like that. But yeah, just random stuff. I don't know why I picked yokai. But yeah, this is completely built out in Zig. I've been trying Zig, trying to see how everything works. So essentially, what I have right now is a simple Lexer and a token, and a bunch of tokens in here. So you create a token type. The token type contains literals, and then you have these bunch of token types. I think one of the coolest thing that I saw in Zig was, so for example, if you want to create a for example, an array or a map, right? So they provide you. So, like for example, this is a map, and then so generally you won't do it like this. I'll show you this one as well. Like there's a very huge difference between the two. So, for example, if I was to create, rather let's do it this way. Let's create a function. Let's say get a map, and the function returns void for now. Probably gonna change it later, but yeah, all this does is this returns something. And what exactly is it? It returns standard dot, I think it's called some map, array hash map. Yeah, array hash map. So you'll see that, I don't think that's the type though. I'm pretty sure that wasn't the one that I was looking for. But yeah, let's see. There should be something. I think I created. It was some map, hash map. I think it was hash map. Yeah. Array hash map. You got all hash map. I think it was this. I think yeah, it was this. Yeah, it was this. So we want string. So it would be const u8. So strings don't exist in Zig. There is no concept of strings. It's very like the entire idea of C is copied over here. There's nothing like string in Zig. Sorry, in C. It's all characters. And similarly here, U8 is your character. This guy is the type that it's gonna have. So if you see this guy, it says that it takes two arguments, comp type k, which is the key type, and a comp type v, which is going to be the compile time v type, and I'm going to say token type. So this is more like you have a map that has a key of string and a value of token type. That's the struct. Sorry, it's also a string, but yeah, you can actually put in a struct in here as well. I think they do support that. Like you can have something like this, but I'm just going to keep it simple to token type. And then they ask you to init it. The cool part about them is that you actually have to provide an allocator. So in C, it would be glibc that would be using malloc to do that for you. Here, you could actually do, for example, std.heap dot general purpose allocator, and actually you can get rid of this, like it will pick default values, and that's how you get a map for yourself. The cool part is that you can actually create this. So for example, I'm going to say const map equals this, and then I can return this map. So the type here is going to be hash map, and I can say std dot hash map. I'll probably have to define some values here, but I'm not sure. I've been trying doing all this. One of the things that is about them that you can do map. Sorry, it's called, I think, defer map dot dinit. So it's like automatically when the map is destroyed, it will get rid of the values. But why? Like this is all fine and good, right? There's something specific I wanted to show you. So in Go, if I want to create a map that lives globally on my scope, what do you think I'd do? I'm going to say like var map equals uh, some type, right? I think you can do like, I don't know, maybe string, and then there would be a token type struct. You create like this, and then this thing is globally exported in Golang. You can't do that here. They don't allow you to. The reason being because then they're like, if something is defined globally, it's a lot of memory management, specifically if you're trying to do it on heap. So in languages like Zig and C, you have to put that on static memory. When I say static, I mean the static, like static memory. Static memory is like the static, like not the heap, but the static part of your allocations, which would be your static mem. And in your static memory, that's how you do it. You create a static memory, like static map, like a static string map. And you'll see that is optimized for a small set of disparate string keys. The idea being that generally, if you're trying to create something that sits on your static memory, you don't want it to be very huge. So generally, you won't be doing anything dynamic here. I don't think I'm not sure. I haven't tried it, but I don't think that they didn't allow you to do that. But yeah, I definitely haven't tried that out. But yeah, aside of that, I was working on this Lexer. Thanks to that book, they had a very good explanation of it, an amazingly good explanation, rather. I've been struggling a bit with translating the Golang code over here in Zig. Like it's really painful to understand because like you have to worry about like a lot of low level things, but most of them are pretty fine. So here wrote a simple test. In Zig, it's pretty similar to Rust. You'd write your implementation and test in the same file. So I have a simple test here. It can you do also don't have something like this. So you can do const poem, and then you do something like this. You'd say that it says invalid token. The language does not support that thing. So to create a multi-line comment, or sorry, a multi-line string, you have to do it like this, which is a really weird way of doing it. I'm seeing this for the very first time in my life. But yeah, you create an input. Essentially, this is where the lexing part comes in. So let is like you define a variable, you call a variable, you explicitly set it to something, and then this guy is an integer. So if you see my test itself, it's trying to parse that line by line. So you'll see that the first line says let 5 equal 5 semicolon, and then let 10 equal 10 semicolon. And few weird things about Zig is so if I try to build this, I was trying to test this out. So I'll say Zig build test, and it works. Weirdly enough, if you do summary and try to print, they don't show you the name of the test, which is something that I've been struggling with because I want to see what test passed, dude. I just show me what exactly happened and which test ran, and they don't show it. There was one more thing I found. I think there was. I'm on a different window right now, but I'll just quickly Google it out. Zig test show output. I think it was something like. I forgot. I forgot. I think. Just give me a second. Let me look this up real quick. Um. So they don't have anything that they say. Rather, okay. So this is the weird part, right? Initially when I struggle with this, there's two ways to do this. Okay, one way is I think there's just one way to do it. I don't think there's any. Like it's just me saying it's two every single time. But yeah, I think the only way to do this is you do this. You do debug dot println print, and then you actually print the shit out. So I'm gonna say, oh, by the way, there's a really cool syntax in Zig. So everything. So somehow my AI got turned on. But yeah. So if you have a struct, they have structs in here. You create an init, like a method inside of it. So they also have this pub keyword, which means that this is exposed outside. If it is not, if you don't prefix it, then it's not exposed outside. Here you say I create a Lexer, and I can even do this, by the way, and it's completely valid. That dot still means Lexer, which is pretty cool. So this is completely fine. If you hover on L, you'll see that right now it says air, but like the init thing returns Lexer to us. And but I still want to keep it just for the sake of my own sanity. One of the cool things that I also noticed in them, so every function has like this weird prefixes in front of them on their return. So this is the return type, and you can even do this. I think it probably comes after it. Yeah, like this. So this question mark means that it could return it or not. There's some sort of a thing going on. I'm still to check it, like how it exactly works. But this guy is a total not seen this anywhere. Okay, this is me trying this for the very first time. I'll show you a really cool example. So we'll go to this skip white space function. Observe that it returns similarly, but it returns void. It returns nothing, but it has that exclamation sign in front of it. If I remove it, you'll see that on top. Um, what function did I update? I updated the white character. No, yeah. So the type of this, like, let me just make it plain and simple for you so that you can actually understand. And I'm going to hover on skip white space and see what the type is. The return type is void. That is it. But if I was to add that back again, like this, now just check what the return type becomes. You see there is a colon mark in front of it. Actually, let me do it a completely different way to make it even more clear, because I think the void thing won't help us here. So yeah, we'll do next token, right? I think next token should be being used here somewhere. I'm pretty sure it's being used somewhere. Yeah. So exactly, this is what I want. What we're looking for. So in next token, I'm gonna change my, like, I'm gonna make it very, 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 very simple right now. Just this token dot token, right? In token, if you see my type of my token here, it says token, right? But when I'm actually doing this, and I'm trying to read next token, I know there's a bunch of stuff going on, and anything could blow up. This entire exclamation sign means that if anything blows up in here, propagate it up. Like, just propagate it outside. Wherever this thing goes, just propagate it. But what that ends up doing is that observe that the token type is now that. Token probably had some like thing on it. So if I was to go to my token file, and if I'm to look at my token, and I'm pretty sure it would work, but uh, so I'll show you something. Let me just try it first myself so that I can be sure that I'm doing it right. Yep, 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 yep. Uh, if I remove the try keyword, look what happens. If I do token dot, there's nothing coming up. Weirdly enough, the type of token is with that exclamation sign. And if I prefix it with try, you'll see the type changes to token. And token now has stuff on it. In Zig, this is what that try keyword does. And so this is why this exclamation thing is important, because even in all of my functions, I'm using try. So if this blows up and I have exclamation prefix, this error will bubble up as well, which is pretty cool. So it makes your like entire error handling almost 10 times better. And I can't even compile this. Like, you remember I had try here, and if I remove it, watch what happens. If I try to build this, I'll do Zig build test, you'll see it fails, saying that the error union is ignored, which is pretty cool. Like, it's trying to tell you that there is a possibility of error here. You already have defined that you're going to bubble this error up, so you better bubble this error up. So if I do Zig build test, and now it works, it would work. Yeah, there we go. Pretty sick, right? But yeah. So this is what I've been doing so far. Yeah, this is what I was talking about. So one of the ways to debug test is that you do this. I'm going to say test, um, test next token. I would want to build this out. I'm going to say zig build test. I think it will log it. I'm pretty sure it does log it. Yeah, there you go. That's one way of doing it. I think I think this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to place this everywhere now. Yeah, I think that's that. This is what I've been working on so far. This does not mean I would not be continuing our series of our DNS server. We definitely would be, but DNS server is not coming out in Zig. It's just it's going to remain in C++. That's the only language right now I'm confident in, not in Zig. Still trying to run this thing out. Um, it's pretty cool. Trying to also create that thing, and hopefully, this book is really handy, by the way. Pretty cool book actually. Um, but yeah, uh, that's what I've been doing so far. If any Zik pros are around, do suggest me anything that you feel is wrong in this, that whatever you've seen so far. Aside of that, please tell me and suggest me if you have any plugins for Zig on Vim, because right now I'm using like the ZLS thing, but I think there are a few things that I'm missing. I'm not sure how to handle it properly. Like as I told you, if I remove this, there are no errors. But if I try to build it out, it throws errors. So I kind of want to see that if there is a way of getting it. I've been researching a lot, but I haven't been able to find something so far. Maybe it's just me being lazy that I haven't really tried to build ZLS locally. I'm honestly not really sure at this point. But yeah, that's what I've been doing. Pretty cool stuff. Thank you for coming today. But yeah, cool. Bye bye.